Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini-episode, today I have two very compellingly odd stories to read to you today, folks. One involving this hitchhiker encountering these odd twin beings, and another account involving this man who turned into dust. Let's get into the first article, Hitchhiker's Bizarre Encounter with Identical Silent Passengers in St. Paul, Minnesota, and read exactly what happened to him one night while hitchhiking. Let's get into his account now. While hitchhiking late at night in St. Paul, Minnesota, a disoriented and exhausted witness accepted a ride that would leave a lasting psychological imprint. What initially felt like an unlikely act of kindness quickly transformed into an encounter marked by silence, unnatural behavior, and an overwhelming sense of dread. The details raise questions about whether the experience was purely psychological or something far more anomalous. Hi, Lon. I had been walking for several hours because my girlfriend at the time never picked me up. Long walks were not unusual for me since I had run across country for years. So, 4 or 5 hours on foot was manageable. That night was different. I was completely lost, unprepared, and wearing Converse shoes. My feet were in serious pain, and I was not in the right state of mind. So, did that play an element in his encounter with these strange beings, folks? Maybe they were regular people, and there was just something off about them, and his exhausted state of mind blew that into blew it up into something truly weird. Maybe it was all in his head, folks, but let's read on and find out if that is indeed the case by reading the rest of his story. It was very dark by the time I finally stopped walking. I realized I could not go any further and reluctantly decided I would have to try hitchhiking. I had never done that before. The first car that passed stopped and picked me up, which struck me as strange in and of itself. The first time. That is weird. Inside the car were a man and a woman. I explained where I was trying to go and mentioned that someone on the road had given me directions. I tried to make conversation, telling them how grateful I was, even saying that they were like angels for stopping. They did not speak at all. They only nodded occasionally, never responding verbally. That is something we'll talk about a little later, folks. The fact that the word and maybe the possibility of angels are involved. But that'll be after we finish off our witness's account. As soon as I said the word angels, both of them turned their heads at the exact same time. The movement was perfectly synchronized, fast and sharp, like a bird snapping its head. They looked at each other briefly, and that was when I realized they looked exactly alike. The woman appeared to be female, to be a female version of the man, but otherwise they were identical. I could only see them in profile, but something was very wrong. They were extremely pale, as if they did not have faces at all. I could barely make out where their eyes should have been. Normally, even from the side, you can see eyelashes or some definition, but there was nothing. They were also dressed the same. I refused to accept what I was seeing and tried to rationalize it. When the car stopped and I got out, I did not look back. I was panicking and did not want to see them again. I was extremely creeped out. I had never really believed in the paranormal before that experience, but this was the most bizarre thing I had ever encountered. What did M encounter? Were they angels, folks? They did react to it, folks, but was that out of, maybe concern that this man basically figured out what they were? Or was it alarm, maybe at the mention of angels? I mean, if M here mentioned God, would these beings have reacted as if basically they were vampires and someone struck them with a cross, or basically presented them with one? You have to wonder, folks, because they reacted at the mention of angels. Maybe these beings were aliens as well, folks. There's also the possibility of another entity from Japanese mythology known as the No-Face, an entity that has, somewhat seemingly taken up residence in North America, as well as basically other parts of the world, because people have mentioned other faceless beings like the No-Face. And as you can get from the name, it literally has no face. Maybe like a face made of complete white skin, but otherwise you get the idea. Were these beings no faces? We don't know, but they certainly were alien, and perhaps maybe they were angels, but we can't be for sure. All we can do, as I've said so many times before, folks, is wonder. But let's move on to the next article, folks. A man who walked into nothingness. David Lings vanishing in Kellyton, Tennessee in 1880. Let's get into this very strange account that basically mirrors the disappearances and the missing 411 and other stories of people, disappearing off the face of the earth. Let's continue now. On September 23rd, 1880, a quiet Tennessee farm became the stage for one of the most unsettling disappearance stories ever recorded in full daylight and witnessed by family, members, and visitors. A farmer named David Lang reportedly vanished mid-step while crossing a field near his home outside Caladan. More than a century later, the incident remains suspended between folklore and speculative science and unanswered questions. According to later retellings, David Lang was walking across a freshly plowed field toward his home near Caladan, Tennessee, when his wife watched from the front porch and his 2 children played nearby. At the same time, a local attorney, Judge August Peake, and his brother-in-law approached the Lang family farm by buggy. Without warning, Miss Lang began screaming hysterically. Her husband, visible only moments earlier, was suddenly gone, as if he had fallen off the face of the earth, folks. Or, literally, like a vampire exposed to sunlight, he turned into a pile of dust and blew away in the wind. We don't know, but apparently this subject is going to come up once again, folks. Like the recent story with the twin entities I just told you about, folks, how they reacted to the name Angel the way, well, kinda the way vampires react to basically being shown a cross and, well, and pull back. This man disappeared like the way a vampire does to sunlight by turning into dust. So it seems to be almost prophetic. But either way, folks, let's get into this story more and read more about what happened. Author Frank Edwards later described the event in vivid detail in Stranger Than Science, stating that Lang disappeared after taking only a few steps. The witnesses ran immediately to the spot where he had last been seen. There were no trees, bushes, holes, or depressions in the ground. The soil was hard and dry. Nothing suggested a collapse, sinkhole, or physical struggle. Neighbors soon arrived after a large bell in the Lang yard was rung continuously. By nightfall, dozens of people searched the field with lanterns, stamping the ground in hopes of uncovering a hidden opening. No trace of David Lang was ever found. In the months that followed, the story took on even stranger dimensions. The grass in a circular area, roughly 15 feet in diameter, at the disappearance site reportedly turned yellow and stunted as though affected by an unknown force. 7 months later, Lang's children claimed they heard their father's voice faintly calling for help from the same location, growing weaker with time until it vanished completely. Miss Lang herself allegedly heard the voice on several occasions before it faded forever. To where? We do not know, folks. Was he still alive? Or was he dying, folks? Was this voice his last plead for help as he faded away into the ether? We don't know. Either way, this story is very strange so far, folks, because literally, like with an abduction account, where basically supposed UFO will basically land, the grass or the area around where this man disappeared, Lang, it turned yellow, as if basically affected by, something that had been on top of it. Either some great weight, perhaps, which has been known to turn basically grass yellow, folks, but if you park your car in your yard, the grass under it turns yellow. Or maybe it was affected by some weird energy, a radiation perhaps, maybe due to some sort of, radiation put out by maybe some sort of invisible craft. We don't know. It's something to wonder about, folks. But there's also more. The absence of 19th century newspaper coverage or census confirmation is a significant red flag. During the 1970s, Tennessee librarian Herschel Payne suggested the story may have originated with Joseph Mulhausen, a well-known hoaxer active in the region during the late 19th century, but no documentation directly links Mulhausen to the Lang narrative, leaving the claim unresolved. Some people also say it was some sort of spatial, dimensional gateway, folks, that took Lang, but no one can be for sure what happened to this man, or with the first story we read about with those weird twins. Both accounts describe bizarre phenomena that still no one can explain. So, that's the truth. Anyway, we're at the end, folks, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Make sure at the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.